Before we get to the video, check out my Patreon linked in the description of this video, where for $5 a month you get exclusive content such as sneak peeks at projects like upcoming videos, dioramas, stop motions, photography. You'll get a shout out in videos like this one. I also take video requests. You can see behind the scenes of my stop motions in toy photography, as well as exclusive stop motions in photography. Again, you get all these perks on my Patreon for $5 a month. Link to join in the description of this video. Now let's get to it. What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, talking some more Studio Series 86 here on the channel. So Rodimus Prime, he is heavily rumored and basically confirmed at this point from Hasbro themselves in recent interviews earlier this year that I've covered on the channel, saying yes, they would want to do a new 86 Rodimus Prime. They're looking into doing it. He's possibly either going to be a new mold or a retool of the Kingdom figure. Gonna have to wait and see, but those are like the two options that have been floating around that Hasbro's been talking about. So I just wanted to speculate in this video, what could they improve on to make this upcoming 86 Rodimus figure absolutely peak the definitive Generations styled and scaled Rodimus Prime from Hasbro and Takara. So let's get right down to it, shall we? So first off, let's start with the robot modes. So I'm comparing it to the animation model with the Kingdom release from 2021. And the first thing that jumps at me is the color scheme is a little off. I feel like the red should be darker. The orange should be a bit more like rich looking, if that makes any sense, or just like a bit more less yellow looking. I feel like they went for more of like a toy deco with Rodimus Prime as opposed to more of a cartoon accurate deco, because his red seems to be a lot darker in the show than on this figure here and just in the G1 toys in general. Right off the bat, fix the color scheme a little bit. I think leaving him with the same gun and including the Sword of Primus is a really nice addition, especially with that Sword of Primus. That's like a really cool weapon and MacGuffin in the Transformers lore. So I hope for the next release that they keep that packed in with him. Leave the Matrix chamber and the removable Matrix. That was a great feature as well. Maybe add some paint in the chamber, because if I remember correctly, that chamber was just unpainted red with some sculpted greebling on the inside, which is fine, but, you know, pick out some of that detail with some silver or black or red and green paint for some wires or something. I don't know. It just felt a little bland. Or maybe they could improve on the chamber in some way that I'm just not thinking of, but, you know, keeping that feature intact would be nice, but maybe just painting up the chamber on the inside to bring out some of those details that they sculpt with these Matrix chambers. The head sculpt is another big part that stands out to a lot of people the last 4 or 5 years since this Kingdom figure released. He looks a bit too old. He looks like they added a bit too much like definition and sculpt and like grown manness to his face, if that makes sense. Like, he looks like a dude that's like 60 years old as opposed to a dude that's like in his 30s or something. He's supposed to be a bit younger looking than what they let off with that Kingdom head sculpt. It's not a bad head sculpt per se, but he just looks like a Rodimus Prime you would see like 1,000 years after 2005, or like 1,000,000 years even, because, you know, Cybertronians age super slow. So I think fixing the head sculpt in a way that they make those sculpted lines and edges a bit less defined to the point where he looks too old, especially in the eyes. You know, the stuff that they sculpted around the eyes, it makes him look a lot older. I think if they took that out, he would have looked about the age and how he is supposed to be with the head sculpt. Because it's like a Studio Series 86 cup situation where they did too much to the face where it just looks super off. Not as bad as the cup here, but it's still noticeable to the point where they could have made a better head sculpt. So hopefully they fix that on the new Rodimus. And this is very controversial the last year or two since Hasbro and Takara have been doing this with the 86 subline. Less greebling on the new figure is probably a safe bet at this point. If you've been looking at the new 86 releases the last like a year, 2 years maybe, they have changed how they detail these figures drastically, even in the 86 subline. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do some redos of those earlier figures that have more greebling, just so you guys know. But, I'm not somebody that defends less greebling on figures. I think it looks better with more greebling. But I'm just saying this is something Hasbro and Takara are probably going to do for more cartoon accuracy. That Kingdom figure had a crap ton of greebling details on him because, it was released during that War for Cybertron trilogy where they were doing a lot of those details. And, the last couple years, it's slowly been phased out, especially in the 86 line. So I think he's going to be a lot smoother and, for better or for worse, more cartoon accurate in terms of those sculpted details. He's going to have a few sculpted lines here and there because that's what it shows on the animation model, but nowhere near as much as you saw on that Kingdom figure with the tires and the arms and the legs. They're definitely going to be taking it a step back. Even the crotch had a crap ton of greebling detail. And, I'm not one to look down there, but you look at the crotch on the cartoon, he's got none of that. So he's definitely probably going to be a lot more smoother in terms of surface detailing than this original figure. Which, again, I don't really like that decision. But, for cartoon accuracy, it does count, and a lot of people also still like cartoon accuracy and less of those details, so we're going to have to wait and see on how that is handled. And these last two things that I want to cover for the robot mode are a bit more of nitpicks for me, but the way they handled his midsection in the backpack, would they be willing to scale back in terms of the transformation, the backpack, and the gappiness to it? I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know how you could minimize that more than it already is on the Kingdom figure. But we've seen a lot of 86 Black Magic the last couple years since this Commander class came out, so anything is possible at this point. But then again, seeing how they handled the back portion of 86 Optimus last year, I wouldn't be surprised if the backpack is actually a little worse than the Kingdom figure. So we're going to have to wait and see on whether they improve or make the back portion of his design worse, or it stays the same. I hope it at least stays the same. But again, this is more of a nitpick. It's really not that bad on the original figure, but from the side and the back, it's not the greatest looking midsection he could probably have. And the last little nitpick here for his robot mode is the hands. He looked like he had freaking 6'7" quarterback meat hands. Those fingers looked ridiculous, man. And I know it was because they wanted to add those extra finger joints. But if you look at the recent Commander Class 86 Optimus, his hands look just a little bit more streamlined. They still are a little bit chunky to include those hinge joints, but I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as how it looks on that Rodimus Prime figure. So hopefully, however they do the hand articulation, it's more in line with how they handled the 86 Optimus in 2024 and not this 2021 Rodimus release. That's all for the robot mode that I want them to improve on. Now, looking at the vehicle mode, the big thing that stands out right away that people have been complaining about the last few years is how the car portion sticks out way too much compared to the trailer and the cartoon animation model. And you're right, the car mode is a little bit too long. They did it to accommodate for scaling and the smokestacks on the sides. But, I feel like that's a bit of an excuse at this point. I think it was kind of just lazy engineering, because you look at the smokestacks, they're cut in the middle. It looks awful. And then you see that weird divot in between the trailer and the car mode. It's just not that streamlined looking as Hasbro was trying to make it seem like in 2021. So just overall fixing the proportions somehow, some way with this truck mode would be really nice. I mean, I'm no toy designer, so I don't know how they would do that, but I'm sure there's some way. They've been engineering some crazy figures the last couple years since this Rodimus came out. So, I mean, it's at least possible at this point. I think keeping the trailer attack mode and the the blast effects and everything like that, and the smoke effects, that would be a smart decision. But you know, with budget cuts and however this Rodimus Prime is going to be handled, whether it's a retool or a new mold, it's going to depend on the accessories and, you know, the engineering and the parts count of everything to whether or not he's going to have the same amount of accessories or the same accessories, which I hope he has the same amount at least. So yeah, keeping the trailer and the base mode the same with the rotating cannon and everything like that would be cool, because that was a nice base mode. I really don't have any complaints there. Just the main thing with the proportions and how the car looks attached to the trailer is like the main thing. I think every one of us can universally agree on that this needs to be fixed really bad, because it really doesn't look that good. It looks like the car is like halfway ported into the trailer. They just really kind of messed up on the proportions, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, let me know down below. How do y'all think they can improve upon a new Rodimus Prime with this upcoming 86 release that Hasbro has been talking about this year? I see this coming out probably around 2027 or 2028 at the earliest, because he's not coming out for the 40th anniversary. Unfortunately, we already have the listings for 86 stuff next year, and he's not in them. So probably the following year or the year after. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.